On this team, we fight for that inch. On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw with our fingernails for that inch. Because we know when we add up all those inches, that's gonna make the fucking difference between winning and losing.
They're off in the Breeders' Cup Classic. They're off in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Off in the Longines Breeders' Cup Turf. They're off in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. They're off in the Longines Breeders' Cup Distaff. Everett War will take charge of Final Man. Macho Man! This is unbelievable! Zenyatta! What a performance! One we'll never forget. Looked impossible. Golden Cobra, a true champion. 3 Breeders' Cup wins. Olivia Pellier, the perfect ride. Golden Cobra has won. As they come to the wire, they're not to the park. It's Beholder! Chancellor at the 16th hole. Macaulay runs at him. Chancellor and Macaulay. Macaulay's a master. Macaulay wins the sprint. Oh, what a horse he is. Take Charge Brandy has gone all the way. She's 60 to 1. Wise Dan's got him. Wise Dan, brilliant in the mile. As they come to the wire, a triple crown winner, a Breeders' Cup winner, a horse of a lifetime. American Sparrow has won the Breeders' Cup Classic.
What is up? I'm Jared Walsh. He's Aaron Halterman. This is Blinkers Off. Well, I don't know if we were supposed to show that yet, if it was just for the Breeders' Cup, but it's Breeders' Cup time. And I made the audio. I gave it to Magic. He made that amazing video that if you watch and you're not jacked up, then you need to find something else to do. Magic, hell of a job. Halterman, what's up, man?
Yeah, that was great. I thought Magic, you did a really, really, really good job on that. And yeah, it's time, man. It's time to get excited. We're here. I mean, we are I guess tomorrow will be 2 weeks away from Breeders' Cup Friday. So it's about here. The talk's about over, and I'm kind of excited for that. But we've got a fun thing we're gonna do today to kind of talk about these Breeders' Cup horses even more. But yeah, great video to get us going.
Yeah, I mean, a week from today or 2 weeks from today, we'll be there. I mean, we'll be in Del Mar. So I mean, it's here. It's hard to believe. We're obviously we're all hands on deck right now with getting stuff done for the guide and the supplement guide and articles and video. We got video content coming out, and it's just like you start looking at the timeline. You're like, shit, we're 2 weeks away. Like it's here. So it's insane how fast this is all. How fast this is moving along.
Yeah, I mean, pre-entries come out next week, and then it's really time, like that's when decisions need to start to be finalized really next week. Those pre-entries come out, and we'll start putting together a lot of preliminary work on the guide, and then, entries and where they draw, who's riding them, and then, yeah, it's pretty much will be done. So this year has just flown by. Like, it's been crazy how fast this year has gone. So yeah, I mean, it's exciting to know that we're getting real close to making those final decisions.
Any kind of like, I dove in really heavy yesterday, last couple of days with the trends coming out. Which, by the way, if you guys haven't heard about the 14 trends coming out, it should be out next week. It's basically 14 Breeders' Cup trends that you need to know, and essentially I put it together every year. I go each race. I pick out one major trend. I look through all the races. It's crazy as I've done this for, I don't know how many years it's been now, 3 or 4 years. You start to see the trends develop. I may have thrown something out there just to see if it's stuck. And then all of a sudden, you look at, like, say the turf, the juvenile turf sprint. You're like, we've got a trend on our hands here. Like, this is officially a trend. And I'll just read real quickly what that I did put for that one, because it's crazy. It's in a race, it's only a few years old. It debuted in 2018. We've already developed a major trend. Major speed horses at short prices. The only 3 winners of the Juvenile Turf Sprint, Bulletin, 4-wheel drive, Golden Pal, were based in the United States, won gate to wire, and took a lot of money at the windows. We'll see even more of a secondary trend developing, as we see Wesley Ward now has won this race 2 years in a row, two of the 3 years they've ran it. And guess who has a horse in the race who will be a short price, who has a lot of speed? Wesley Ward. Wesley Ward, of course, looking to have Averly Jane in that race. So it's just like that trend is just, the more they run that race, it feels like that trend is firmly establishing. And again, trends are meant to be broken, and some races are easier than others to find. But what I like about the trends is, for myself, for you, I know you like them. It's just, it helps give you something to, like, if you're kind of on the fence of, do I take the international horse here? Or do I try, it gives you something to kind of go off, because, history is part of this.
That's the best way to use them. What you just said, you don't say, well, that's the trend. And even though this horse doesn't look like it's going to win, we're going to go with the trend. You use them in tiebreakers. You use them in close situations where you're trying to make the difference between 2 or 3 horses. You go, okay, well, this trend has been whatever it is. And so I'm going to lean with that because that horse kind of fits it. And again, it's just a way to kind of break ties, so to speak. In that juvenile turf sprint, I should say, we all kind of thought, wow, this will be a shit show trying to handicap this race when they announced they were going to do it 3 years ago. It's been super easy. We're 3 for 3 at it. And we really, like last year, really the last 2 years, actually, I spent maybe 2 seconds handicapping it.
Right.
The first year, Bulletin was the favorite, but he wasn't a standout. The last 2 years, 4-wheel drive, Golden Pal, obviously it's a Breeders' Cup race. You can get to a lot of different horses. But for me personally, didn't take too long to get to those 2.
The trend that there's so many, and I don't want to it'll be coming out next week, but there's so many interesting trends that I find as I go through this, and wow, there really is something to this. You look at even the juvenile, the TVG juvenile, and you're talking about a race that the last 6 winners of that race, 6 winners have gone on to be entered into the Kentucky Derby, and only one of those horses has won the race, which was Nyquist. So you've seen a pattern here. And Game Winner, he won. He was 11-1 or 10-1, whatever he was that year. So it's one of those races that more tends to what you think of these horses are going to be versus what they are currently. Now, of course, sense of quality, there's exceptions, but it's just a fascinating trend to me that you have to have 6, even a horse like Storm the Court made the gate, and that just goes to show you, it's more about future class than it is current class. And I think that's a very fascinating trend.
It's one a lot of people wouldn't guess, but it certainly has held up. And boy, you look at last year's distaff, holy cow. What great horses were in that just kind of carried this tremendous crop of 3-year-olds that we'll talk about in depth here in just a minute. So yeah, I love the trends. It's funny. Some things that we have done on the site over the years, like when we started these, we're just like, this is kind of cool. Let's just throw it out there. We didn't really mean for it to be any big deal. Really.
Right.
It's not like we disliked them or we half-assed them. It was just, Jared, do these. This sounds fun. He's like, yeah, it sounds fun. And it's been something now that everybody looks forward to. So that sometimes the simplest things turn out to be the biggest things for the site.
Yeah, and even if you don't like them, if you don't I would definitely encourage everybody, especially for these big events, to go in and dive into the trends, the stats, because it opens, you start looking at these races closer when you start looking at the trends. Who past winners and how they entered the race. And it's really a fascinating way to look. Michael says it has been a decade since the frontrunner has won the distaff. That's true. It also is that's an interesting trend because you have Latruska, obviously, who's going to be a heavy favorite in the distaff, and not to spoil more trends, but class wins the distaff. It just does. These big races, class wins. Now, having said that, of course, you've had the likes of Zenyatta, Royal Delta, Beholder, Untappable, Monomoy Girl, all those horses that win. Even when there's not upset, or when there's upsets like Midnight Bizou getting upset by Blue Prize. Blue Prize was 9-1. So if you're going to take a swing, it's got to be somewhat logical. You can't swing to the fences. But if you're looking at Bonnie South or She Dares the Devil sitting there 8-1, 9-1, there's worse horses you could choose. But my thoughts on the distaff is you have to still stick with class and moderately high odds. Don't go crazy, because class wins these races, the big ones especially.
See, and this is what I love about it too. We've got our 14 that you're going to put out and you work on, but here's some more that people are talking about. You had Michael Myers that came up, and then Nick Feldman says last 5 years in the Breeders' Cup, Irad Ortiz has won 3 races at 18-1 or higher. He
There you
has
go.
the most wins, 18-1 in the last 5 years. They were all in sprint races, and this doesn't include 11-1 Whitmore last year. Awesome, right? I mean, that's what we're talking about, and that's kind of what, to your point, if you don't like my trends, still dig into it and find your own. And
there's no shortage of trends. I mean,
Yeah.
you can find an angle pretty much anywhere like that. I mean, that's something that you have to dive really deep into. But guess what? Nick is probably going to use that in some way at the Breeders' Cup, and it may win or may lose. But at least when you're talking about the best of the best horses showing up for the best big races, Nick is the GOAT.
He is
there you
the
go.
GOAT. I agree.
Nick Feldman's got it. We might just employ Nick in future years. Like, Nick, just put the trends out, please.
That's right.
I'm retiring from, especially when this, when all my trends so far, knock on wood, like it's almost uncanny how well the trends have predicted results.
Yeah, and no BS about it. We always, at the end of the Breeders' Cup at the hotel or Airbnb, wherever we're at on Saturday night, we pull up the trends and we go, okay, did this work? And most of the time, all of it, well, it's never all of them, but over half of them easily, they work.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's funny. I think it was like the first year or something. Magic's like, wow. After the boards, it's like, wow, look at all these all held up, and I'm like, I didn't even think to look back at those, and it's now, and every year it's been like, wow, those are really working. So
he started that tradition. I think was that Churchill Downs, maybe when he started that. It was Churchill or Del Mar won. He kind of started it, and then that's kind of what we do. It's a tradition now. So
there you go, cool. Nick. You've been employed for the 2022 Breeders' Cup. We'll give you a test drive. Maybe. We'll have like Nick's trends underneath mine and we'll see which ones hold up the best. So yeah, you got to earn it. But yeah, that guide will be out next week. It's free. Just it'll be on the site at racingdudes.com. We'll look to have that out early next week. Halterman, what I was going to say before we jumped into that, like as we are, I've dove into those, and is there anything we can get into that here in a little bit with the prop bets we're going to talk about? Is there anything that's changing, like sort of slowly kind of changing your opinion one way or another?
Not until next week, because what happens is that final prep week happens, and then you've kind of got a 2-week dead period, right? This is a dead period as far as Breeders' Cup and changing your opinions. But when those pre-entries come out and those past performances come out, that's when things can change. And you also kind of get the knowledge of what Europeans are actually seriously considering this. And so then you ask me this on next Thursday's show, I bet I've got some different opinions. But right now, no, nothing's really changed.
Hey, Nick, we do have that coming up. So we've got some head-to-head bets. Not Maxfield, I know he's out, but we got some head-to-head bets. This is going to be an awesome podcast because we dove into, ask the team. I came up with someone, Halterman came up with someone, Magic, Somich. We all got into it. The odds, we got head-to-heads in the classic. We've got over-unders. We got random prop bets. So we're going to dive in. Let's just not waste any time here because we got a ton of prop bets to do, and we're going to go through these. And what better to do when we were waiting? This is the last week without really having the full information, or at least almost all the information. So shit, let's get. We're all degenerates. Let's do some make-believe gambling here. All right, today's show we will do our picks with several prop bets for the 2021 Breeders' Cup World Championships at Del Mar. Let's go. I thought about throwing this Tacitus. I couldn't do it. I hate that horse so much.
Yeah. I don't care to talk about him.
The less I have to talk about him, the better. So
yeah.
Yeah. What's up? There you go. Look at that.
Beautiful. Love it.
You love it. Yeah, some of these are really, really, really good. So how do you want to do this? Do you want to we give our picks or go through each one and talk about our thoughts?
go through each one, and we'll tell you the thoughts. Just go one by one. I think that's.
I got plenty more underneath here, so I don't want to spoil it yet, but we'll get to it. We got some more. We got head-to-heads. We got some randoms on there. So, all right, everyone get ready. 3, 2, 1. Time for the 2021 Breeders' Cup Prop Bets podcast. That's right. It's the first time we've done this. I know you guys did this on one of our older episodes of one of the different shows. I know there was you guys did some prop bets with jockeys at Saratoga.
Yep.
So we thought, well, let's just make this a little bit more involved at the Breeders' Cup. I mean, there's nothing closer to the Super Bowl, right, than the Breeders' Cup in our terms. And so the Super Bowl, if you're a handicapper or if you're a bettor, is about prop bets. You know, who's going to win the coin toss? Who's going to be the first team to score? The first guy to throw an interception? Whatever. So we're here for all the good ones. Bring up if you guys listening. Obviously, thank you everyone that's tuned in with us live on YouTube and Facebook. If you want to ask questions or give your own prop bets, we'll try to answer those the best we can here. So let's kick things off. So we got some over-unders to talk about here. The first over-under, and some of these are joking. Most of these are serious. Brad Cox, the wins of the 2021 Breeders' Cup at 2.5. Over-under 2.5 for Brad Cox at the Breeders' Cup. All 14 Breeders' Cup races, over-under 2.5.
I'm going to go under. I don't think he gets the 3 this year. Now, if this would have been last year's question, I would have said over because he just seemed to have more depth. This year, he seems a little more top-heavy. I think, the Classic, he looks in great shape. But you look at all the other races, it's not like he can't win other ones, but it gets a little bit longer odds. So I'm going to go with Brad Cox under that 2.5 total.
What was the total number last year? Like 5?
Let's
see. 6, 5, maybe.
I think he went 5. Yeah.
I think it was 5. So yeah, I mean, it definitely seems like, now Juju Map, definitely. Juju's Map could definitely win. I think that's a great pick. So you have that, and then you have obviously one of the two, like you said, with Nick's Go, and it's such a quality. So you're stuck at 2, and you look, and you don't have that other horse that you can really. I mean, you think about all the Jackie's Warrior. It's not Brad Cox, and Life is Good. It's not Brad Cox, and you've got the turf. What turf horses for Brad Cox? There's some that like you say, it could be bigger prices, but nothing you can necessarily depend on. I'm gonna say, was it 4, Jake? Was it 4 last year?
Okay.
4.
Yeah, well, 2 on Friday, 2 on Saturday.
I think I'd go under on that one too, but that's dicey. Like, that's a dicey proposition to go under Brad Cox winning 2.5. Like, you might be paid if he wins 2 races on Friday, you're fucked.
Well, I mean, you're assuming he's going to win the Classic, and you just don't know for sure on that. It's not, you don't mail those in, as the coach would say. You got to go out and win those races like the Classic. Juju's Map will not be the favorite, but got a great shot. She Dares the Devil will not be the favorite, has somewhat of a shot. So I think it's hard to get 3 wins this year for Brad. If he gets 3 wins this year, I think he's smiling from year to year.
Jason says, I'll parlay. We haven't talked about all these. I'll parlay the Cox under, the Baffert under, and the Bar Bill way over. So we'll get to those in a second. So let's go to the next one here. By the way, the easiest bet of the whole weekend is the Bar Bill. 3-year-olds. How many 3-year-olds will win? 2.5 is the over-under. 14 Breeders' Cup races. So obviously, 9 Breeders' Cup races. So the 2-year-olds aren't out of it. 9 Breeders' Cup races. It's set at 2.5. Now you got to remember, we have some legit 3-year-olds in this crop, maybe better than we have had in a very long time. So 2.5. I'm kind of leaning the over, Halterman. What do you think?
Well, I'll give you a little bit of historical background to this one. I wrote an article today. You can go to the website now. It kind of, will this class be legendary? And I think it's one of the best classes I've ever seen from top to bottom, right? So there's 9 races that they can run in, basically. There's 6 races that they have serious chances to win. The other 3, they don't. The record for American-based 3-year-old wins during a Breeders' Cup, 2. Really? So if they get to 3, it'll be the most ever from American-based 3-year-olds to win at the Breeders' Cup. I'm going over here. I think they could win 4. And I think if they do that, they have to be considered one of the greatest 3-year-old crops we've had in our generation, at least our following. You've got Life is Good. You've got Jackie's Warrior. So right there's 2 that are going to be huge favorites. So then it comes down to, as far as this bet, can we cash? Can Bella Sophia pull an upset? Can Malathot pull an upset?
Malathot, yeah.
Yeah, can Essential Quality pull a mild upset, or Hot Rod Charlie, or Medina Spirit? What about Golden Pal? Going to be the favorite in the turf sprint. So there's options out there that they could get that 3rd win. So and then to this point, for this bet, Europeans usually have a good 3-year-old on the turf as well. So I'm going way over here. I think 2.5 is pretty light. I'm going over.
Yeah, I think this is one of the easier bets. Really, I really do. I think this, because like you say, like you got Life is, like, 2 of the best locks in my opinion are Life is Good and Jackie's Warrior, and there's your 2. So you really just need one more. I mean, that's like, if I have to catch this and have Essential Quality or Hot Rod or Medina, I mean, I got 3 horses in the Classic. Yeah, I got to beat Nick's Go, but shit, if that's what it comes down to, I would take those. I think this is going to be no doubt about it, right? Record year for 3-year-olds go.
So let me parlay that. We both agree and say they do get over this 2.5 and get to 3. We've been following the sport since 2007, basically. Is it the best crop you've seen of 3-year-olds since we started following?
Depth wise, there's no doubt about it. It has to be. Yeah, there's been maybe. I mean, Essential Quality, shit, he's throwing his name right there. As far as the classic type horses, Pharaoh, of course, Arrogate. I mean, there's some really good ones that we've seen. But as far as top to bottom, I mean, when was the last time you saw? I mean, like you said, like your example, like a 3-year-old winning multiple divisions, like repeatedly, is insane. And not just that, you're going to have 3 massive favorites as 3-year-olds in these races as well. Yep. So even if they don't win, to say that you have a heavy favorite in the sprint, a heavy favorite in the dirt mile, Essential Quality is not going to be the favorite, really close. I mean, it's pretty remarkable what they've done. And I think it's the best class that we've seen, right? It has to be.
I think it is. Yeah. I look back to 2007, a breed shaping type of class. I think this could be even better. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, the Euros, and that's the thing, that's the wild card, right? The Euros they'll have some 3-year-olds that can win these races. So I think that's a pretty much a no-brainer. Michael says, does a gray horse win the Classic? Those are odds of like minus 500. So seems likely. But that's that's part of it. That's let's see. Let's go through some of these. If international 3-year-old wins, that helps both your bets. I've been following. Nick says, I've been following since 2017. This is by far the best crop of 3-year-olds. Also added house spread. Yeah, exactly. Philly Sprint, the Sprint, Dirt Mile, Classic Turf Sprint. They're all over. Just interesting. Totally random. But 2017, Nick, what got you into the game? Like, why? Yeah. Why? You obviously are very talented, very up to date of what's happening in horse racing now. What made you go from 2017 to now? Just out of curiosity. Same with Mark. If you've some of these guys that are always on these chats, I'm interested to know. All right,
great question.
Bob Baffert. So the legend, Hall of Famer, Bob Baffert, 2021 Breeders' Cup, over under 2.5. I know we're going. Just to be clear, we have said this over and over. We will continue to say it. The Breeders' Cup is allowing him to run. They've got some strict regulations apparently to make him to qualify. He's got to pay for his own testing, all this bullshit, whatever. He's running. We're here to pick horses, to pick winners. That's all. We get it. But what 2.5 seems? I mean, he's got Corniche. Mm-hmm. He's got them everywhere, I'm sure. But 2.5 seems, that's a tough line, I think.
If you give him Gamine, which people thought I was crazy last week, but I haven't just handed that to him. But let's say you do, I think it's still hard to get 2 more wins. I don't think he gets above 2.5. I think I'm going to go under on Baffert this year. I don't think he gets there.
let's assume he gets Corniche on Friday. And then so he's got one. You got Gamine early in the day on on Saturday. So there's your two. So you just need one. I mean, it's very possible. Oh man, this is a tough one. Because he doesn't have any, does he? He won't have any in the juvenile or the Phillies juvenile, I don't think. And he won't certainly won't have
dirt mile, and I bet he has one in the disc. So he has private mission in the distaff.
In the distaff, which is could win, I guess. Unlikely, but could. 8 rings, of course. Like you said, the dirt mile. As time goes by, if as time goes by, runs in there.
Yeah.
Still, boy, that is a tough line. I think I'd go under.
Yeah.
I think I would go under, but
I'm going under.
It's way too close. Because part of me thinks he's just going to have a dominant Breeders' Cup, just because that's what will happen, right? That's what happens.
Rub it in our faces, yeah.
Yeah, under on Nick says under on Bob. Corniche, Gamine, Medina Spirit for Michael Myers. 8 rings. Yeah, throw him in there. There's no way. There's no 8 rings wins, right? Can't be. But okay. So we'll go under on Bob Baffert 2.5. Seems dicey. Okay, this is an interesting one. International horses winning at the Breeders' Cup. So obviously we talked about internationals bringing over some good 3-year-olds. International horses winning at the Breeders' Cup is set at 3.5. And Magic made a point today that the Japanese even, so throw those in there as well. They'll be sending 7 this year, the most ever, according to Magic. So you've got the Japanese, you got, of course, the Euros, the turf. It's tough to say they could win anything on dirt, but the turf races. So you're basically saying out of however many turf races there are, 8 turf races, can they win 4, I guess?
This is a really tough one. It's either going to be 3 or 4, in my opinion. I think this is going to be right at the number. Gosh, I debated this one for a long time.
I guess it's 7. It's 7. So there's 7 turf races, and they've got to win 4 of them.
It's going to come down to those 2 juvenile races on the turf. They're not going to win the sprint. The juvenile turf sprint. There's not. It's going to come down to that. I'm going under. I think they win 3.
Man, I lean towards now. What is I put this together, so I wasn't sure which way we'd go. What qualifies international? Is it based internet? Yeah, I would say that. So I think that's too high.
I do too.
But let's say Tornala wins. Say she runs from Tornala wins. Like you say, let's assume the one, turf sprint or one of the juvenile turf. That's a good one. It wins one of those. There's 3. You still got to come up with one more, and I don't think our Americans. You know what? I don't think. It's tough. I don't think our American horses are very good on turf this year. We're super thin in the turf, but I'll go over. Over. I just think the internet, I don't love it, but who's going to fend them off is kind of where I'm at.
I think we're really up against it in the turf unless domestic spending bounces back. He's international bred, but he's based here. So I'm counting him as an American. But I think we are up against it there. The turf mile, I could see us winning that race. I think that's going to be kind of a random result. The 2 juvenile races, I'll tell you this time next week, I'll be able to tell you a lot more about those. Filly and Mare turf, we have Warlike Goddess. She might be able to get a win there. Turf sprint, we got Golden Pal. I don't know. I don't feel confident going over, but I think it's going to be right at that number.
I don't feel confident in it, but at the same time, I don't necessarily I don't know. Like I don't have enough trust in us to fend them off. So I feel like we're gonna have a few randoms, some bombs. Sometimes these turf horses, especially like in like not the turf, but like the juvenile races or something, you get like a bomb, like a random international horse that wins. So you just need one or two of those, and I think you might get there. So I'll go over on the 3.5. All right. The lock of the weekend. Forget Gamine. It's Racing Dudes On Track Bar Bill at the Breeders' Cup. It's set at $299.99. So $299.99. I mean, I think we'll have this by Friday. This is at first it was just you, and I was like, well, let's make it Racing Dudes. So it's us together. There's no way it's under $299.
I can't see it. No. The drink that I like to drink out there, I think it's like $15 for one of them. So I think that right there tells you what it's going to be. They have like I think it's like a white rum, like drink of some sort. I can't remember what it is. It's so good, and I think they're like $15. So two of those, there's $30. You're going to tip the guy or gal, whoever serves it to you.
Over. Everyone's like, this is it is. I mean, shit. Halterman definitely will have that on his own. I mean, when we went to the imagine this scenario for a second. We get to the Kentucky Derby, and we actually it was Halterman went to get our first round or whatever, and he goes and he comes back and he's like, "You're not gonna believe this." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "These are free," and I'm like, "What?" Like what? It's like, "This is free." I don't know. I tried to give her money. She didn't take it. It was free. And we tested this the whole time. And we tipped, of course, but we never paid for a single drink the 2 days we were at for the Oaks and the Derby. And I shit you not, we easily drank a bottle of Woodford. Easily. I mean, easily. Because when it's free, like open bar at the races, we didn't ask questions. I don't know why. We had press passes. Apparently, because we were in the lower level, they were all free. I'm going to guarantee you they don't do that again next year because they definitely lost some money. I know they had lower crowds, but we made up for it. It was insane. So, point is, we're spoiled now. So, whether we pay for it or not, we're getting our drinks. And $299.99 is a no-brainer. So, dude. Mark says, open bar, dudes.
I went to get our first drinks. I got two, whatever we had. I don't remember what were. And I gave her a $20 bill, and she was like, what are you doing that for? I was like, I guess to pay you. Like, I don't know what's going on. She's like, all the drinks are free Friday and Saturday if you have a ticket. I said, are you freaking kidding? Like, seriously? Just at this bar? She's like, no, everywhere. I was like, oh my God. So
you didn't ask questions. You just took off running. It's like, all right.
I did. I ran before she changed her mind, and thankfully she didn't for 2 days. So that was good times. No question.
It was insane. It was insane. All right. Quick update here. Just to read some of these. Mark says, Grandpa taught me to read a racing form at 7 to 8 years old. Lucky. He let me make 2 bets with his money in 3rd grade. Won them both. Been hooked since. So you've been hooked since you were a young kid. Definitely, everyone's kind of got their story. Nick says, went to college in Kentucky. My aunt lives 30 minutes from Saratoga. Just naturally got into them by the proximity of being close to them. Got into the Breeders' Cup seriously by a friend. Classic Empire Breeders' Cup Juve favorite wins. Or when Classic Empire won. So, I mean, that's the thing. We all have our horse. We all have the horse. Halterman's is Curlin. Mine's Zenyatta. That just got you in, whether it be a big horse, could be like a amazing horse like Curlin or Zenyatta, but it could be random horses that just got you absolutely hooked. Random horse, Win Willie for me, winning in the Rebel the first time we ever went to the track. Win Willie, a horse that upset the Rebel at like 50-1. It's like, oh, this happens all the time. It's like, no, it doesn't actually. Just beat Old Fashioned that year. Dwayne Lucas favorite. But no, it's crazy. By the way, fun fact: Zenyatta is the horse in our logo. So I don't know if people know that, but that is the horse that is encapsulated in. Yeah, I mean, Mark says Rachel Alexander, all-time favorite. I mean, that's the series. That's the first like Triple Crown series that we really got into. And of course, she was a big part of that, winning the Preakness that year.
I'll tell you what, my
Oaks.
dad and I were standing in Oakland when Rachel Alexandra won the Martha Washington. And you got to remember, this was 2009, right? And my dad and I knew maybe a 20th of what we know now about racing. We were more of just fans and loved it and wanted to go all the time and loved it bad. And we're trying to learn. And we saw her, and now keep in mind, we saw Curlin, 2 years earlier, but we saw Rachel that day in the Martha Washington. We looked at each other and we're like, this is something special. Like, she just murdered the field. Yeah, I'll never forget that moment. She was something. And I'll never forget you and I watching the Preakness at an OTB. And when she rounded that corner and she was 4 or 5 lengths ahead of those boys, and we just were like, this is incredible what's happening. So, yeah.
It was the first year that I constructed this crazy like had her keyed on top, and I had all this random shit underneath it, and just I had swapped. It was like learning the hard way, but it was. I mean, it just I'll never forget. We were in Vegas. It's a bunch of us friends in 2009, and we were at the OTB all day at where were we at? Were we at the Valleys? I think. Yep. Yeah, and been there all day betting football. College football, of course, Saturday, and the Breeders' Cup was on that that day, and there was of course in San Antonio, so it was on towards the end of the day, and we were like, dude, you got to watch this horse. Like, she's never lost. She's a filly or a girl facing the boys, and she's trying to win this race, and she's 5-2, and so you and I go up and put money. I don't remember what, I think we put like 20 or $50 or something on her to win, and we watched her win this classic, of course, in the most unreal way, and to see this for your first time, me seeing her for the relay, and I was like, oh, she's the greatest horse I've ever. This is amazing. She came from the back, and she, I cashed. And it was, the place went nuts, and it changed my life that day for real. Like, it did really, because from there it was like you followed her, and we got into it more and more, following her. Of course, we were there the following year. We were at the Breeders' Cup the following year when she tried to do it again. So yeah, it's just she's, for me, is the horse, a big reason why. We are where we are. So, I mean, that we all have our horses. All right, let's get back to on track here. Let's go to some race matchups. What do you say for the Classic? Of course, the Classic being the main event of the 2 days, the $6 million Longines Classic. We got a couple matchups here that to go over. Okay, so the first one, essential quality. Again, when you do matchups in any kind of matchup type, sport, NASCAR or whatever, it's not, it's just who finishes over the other one. They can finish 3rd and 5th or 5th and 8th or whatever. It's just who's going to outfinish that horse. So it doesn't have to win. So the matchup is Essential Quality versus Hot Rod Charlie. This is a very interesting one. Essential Quality, you're getting -150. Hot Rod Charlie, you're getting +130. Halterman, what do you think of this one?
Well, the problem is for me is I have to take the -150 because right now I have Essential Quality winning this thing. So certainly I think he's going to beat Hot Rod Charlie. The other problem is I wouldn't be surprised if these are the 1-2 finishers in the race. I think Hot Rod Charlie has just developed so nicely over this year. Just really a beautiful job training, and this horse just keeps getting better. The problem for Hot Rod Charlie is I think of the same with Essential Quality. I just think he is developing so nicely. Great trainer. So I think these might be the 1-2 finishers. So I'm going to take Essential Quality because I think that horse is going to win the whole thing. But it'd be a tough choice.
Man, that's a tough one too, because they're both so. And you can say that about a lot of them really in here. They're so gutty. So it's not one of those like Nick's Go where if he's in here, you're like, well, he's all or nothing kind of thing.
Yeah.
Such a Quality and Hot Rod, they name a race they didn't show up for, other than, before Hot Rod, minus the days he was 90-1. So it's like, and really, frankly, past that, he still showed up. Like he's a tough runner. So it's hard, that's a close battle. I think I would go. I think I might go Essential Quality there too, -150, just because I just think he's a little bit better than Hot Rod, and I don't see a lot of excuses there. Like if he goes too fast, I think he's going to set the trip, and I think it sets up a little bit better for Essential Quality than Hot Rod Charlie. But my heart He won me the fantasy league. It's got to be hot. I'm hoping Hot Rod Charlie gets it done. I'll have some money at 130. Don't worry.
I'm such
go
a
ahead.
fan of both these horses. They have just won me over this year. So big.
That's the thing, and even try to forget who trains him. I mean, Medina Spirit's got guts, and these horses are just fun to watch. These 3-year-olds that have essential quality and Hot Rod Charlie and Medina Spirit all in the classic, all with guts, all 3-year-olds. You know, it's crazy going up against Knicks Go, which, by the way, is the next matchup. Knicks Go versus Essential Quality. So Knicks Go minus 120. You're getting plus 100 on Essential Quality.
You talk about another horse that's just won me over. And Knicks Go has just won me over this year. So damn good. But I think Essential Quality is going to get him in this race. I just feel like going a mile and a quarter with the extra pace pressure, if Medina Spirit and Hot Rod Charlie are in there, I think one of them will be up there kind of with him early and soften him up. And I think Essential Quality is going to beat him. So again, I think Essential Quality is going to win the race. So I got to take Essential Quality in this matchup.
Yeah, listen, I have not made my choice. I'll be very clear about that. Mm-hmm. If I had to make a choice at this very moment, I would lean towards Knicks Go. But from a value perspective, I'll give me the plus 100 on the Essential Quality here, because I just think, I picked Essential Quality to be Hot Rod. I think, I think he's going to run a huge race. I just don't see a way he doesn't. Brad, he's obviously been trained up since the Travers. He's going to be ready to roll, man. So I'd go with Essential Quality over Knicks Go. That's tough. Man, what a fascinating race. Nick says I would take Knicks Go. I'll take Knicks Go versus EQ. Knicks either wires or the field or loses. And I'll take HRC, Hot Rod Charlie, who should have the first run over EQ. So he's got Knicks Go over Essential Quality. I mean, that's the thing. Like you're getting all or nothing with Knicks Go. You either know it. Yeah. So to out finish, it's like, how do you think they're going to fit? Because Knicks Go is either going to finish first or like 7th. You know what I mean? Like it's really way if he's going to get in a battle and he's going to run huge, he's going to win. Medina Spirit versus Hot Rod Charlie. This is a very interesting one. Minus 110 on both. So you're basically getting to pick them here. Medina Spirit, Hot Rod Charlie.
Trainer aside, try to take that out of the equation. I thought Medina Spirit's last race was really, really good. I really do. And better than anything he's had. I'm taking Hot Rod Charlie with this bet. But Medina Spirit is another one kind of won me over again. I hate saying it. I think Hot Rod Charlie is just a better horse when you get right down to it. But you know what? Medina Spirit beat him back in the Derby prep season and beat him at the Kentucky Derby. It's got to count for something. I'll take Hot Rod Charlie, but the way Medina Spirit performed last time out, I think it's close.
I mean, it's I'm telling you, I have a major fear of Medina Spirit. He will be on everything I use because I'm not letting that horse beat me. Fun fact that this is straight from the Trends article as well. In a race like this, 3-year-olds have won the Classic 4 times in the last 7 years. Did you also know Bob Baffert trained all of them? He trained Bayern. He trained Pharaoh. He trained Arrogate. He trained Authentic. I'm just saying, favorites don't tend to win this race all that often. Like, not as often as you would think, twice in the last 11 years. Like, favorites still win the race, but not the odds on. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like it's crazy long shots, but it's not Pharaoh. So I'm just saying, like, Medina Spirit fits the mold awfully well. It's scary how much that horse fits the mold here. So I think I would go Medina Spirit over Hot Rod. I don't like it. Okay. This is the most interesting one.
Well,
you got
real quick. Doesn't Medina Spirit kind of remind you of Bayern a little bit?
No, totally.
Yeah.
Who's just going to get, like, you keep undervaluing the horse over and over and over. And like, well, he can't, now he's in the class. He definitely can't do it. And he did it. You know what I mean? And you're going to look back and say, well, gosh, I mean, all things aside, forget the, everything you hate about Bob Baffert. I mean, look what the horse has been doing. You know what I mean? So It's hard. You got to take that out. You have to. All right. This is the most interesting one for me. Brad Cox trainees versus the field. You got obviously Nick Sco and Essential Quality. So you're getting the two studs. You're getting your top two choices. They're minus 300 though. So you're getting minus 300 on the Brad Cox trainees versus the field at plus 225. So this is the value is there enough with the field to maybe take a shot. Minus 300 is a lot when you've got, Hot Rod Charlie and Medina Spirit trying to upset him.
I think if you get technical about it, this would be a good bet to hedge against your other bets where my other bets, I should say. I know not everybody on here is actually, most of these people that I'm seeing aren't really picking the Cox horses. So they would definitely take the plus 225, but I would too as a hedge. The price is pretty good there. It's a pretty darn good field, even without those two in there. I do think he's the most likely winner of this thing, but at these odds, I'll take the field.
Man, it's tough to suck down minus 300 though. I get it.
Yeah.
Especially when I went under on Brad Cox winning 2.5, which I get is, we were accounting for this race. I'm gonna go the field at plus 225. I'm kind of with Nick here. You're getting HRC, you're getting Medina Spirit, you're getting plus 225. I would rather suck that down and, like you said, get technical with it, but play some of these other and hedge a little bit. Or if you're parlaying, are parlays allowed in our make believe sports book?
It's make believe, so anything's allowed. Yes. One thing I'll say. You mentioned the two big ones there, Medina Spirit and Hot Rod Charlie. You may follow the chair. I think Max Player can win here. I really do.
He has, we talked about it last week some. Obviously Maxfield's not going to run now. He was kind of another one that you could see maybe if he's the non-major ones. Max Player, and we both mentioned Max Player. Yeah, I think it makes sense. It's like if he goes and wins the race, you're not going to be like, how did that ever happen? You know what I mean? Because look how he's gotten better and better. It seems he's got Steve Asmussen, who knows a thing or two about turning the 3-year-old into a good 4-year-old, and and as they get older to improve them. He knows a little bit about that. So yeah,
I think here's my thought on not just you but everybody. I think if Max Player had a different name and you didn't have that stigma of what he was, and it was just like a horse that came out of the allowance ranks and then did what he did the last two races, I think he would be a pretty short price in this race. I really do. I think the stigma of who he's been hurts his price. He's way different from what he used to be. That's all I'm saying.
You're going to get 15 to 1 on him. You know what I mean?
I think that is crazy. If he's 15 to 1, I really do. I think he'll run a good race.
He's the best. And the thing about him too is in a race that's going to have speed. We know this. If it collapses, he might be there. So
yeah,
I think using him on your tickets is very wise, and I imagine you and I both will be including him as well in a race that's got chalk written all over it. He's the value there. All right. What's out of those classic matchups? Which one do you feel best about?
I don't feel good about any of them. I think they're really tough. I think it's Essential Quality over Hot Rod Charlie, but I still don't feel great because, like I said, I love Hot Rod Charlie. So
yeah, that's where I would go too, but I think it's damn tough. All right. Let's go to 3 more here. All right. The Breeders' Cup props. We're calling this the Ryder Cup. Who wins more races at the Breeders' Cup? North America or the world? Minus 500 on North America. Get the world at plus 300. Of course, the world includes Euros and the Japanese, we talked about earlier. It's tough because tons of dirt races. We know the dirt definitely favors towards the U.S.
I would not bet this either way because I don't think the world really has a shot, but I don't want to bet minus 500. So I would pass on. I just think North America, there's just the world, they're just not good enough on the dirt, I think, to compete. So as far as this goes. So it's got to be North America for me. But I'm not betting it minus 500.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is a mortal lock. I don't know. I mean, I don't have 37 years of history on hand here, but I'm going to guess it's never happened that the world has won more races than the United States. I guess it's possible, but especially a year when you had a international horse, win the Classic, say, or something, but it seems unlikely. Very unlikely, especially this year when you're talking how many free squares, quote unquote, free squares. Feels like we have a bunch, and that's all the dirt. That's several dirt races. So and there's more dirt races. So,
yep,
I'll go if you're making me play. I'll suck down minus 500, I guess, but I don't love it. I like how we call it North America instead of U.S. as if Canada will come. Yeah, it's the Ryder Cup. Well, actually, it's the. You gotta include include both of them, right? Although
you're not looking for those Ontario breds.
No, that they're staying at Woodbine. Don't worry. All right, girl power. Will a filly or mare beat the males in any Breeders' Cup race? This one's interesting because you got a few. Yes, plus 110. No, minus 130. So this is a lot more to your liking.
I'll go yes on this one. I like that it's plus odds, and I think if Tarnawa comes, then I think she's going to get the job done. We had a couple other nice ones playing too. Yeah, Nick Philman says Averly Jane. I think that's a good one. And Blowout is going to go to the mile. You told me today, so there's some chances there. Yeah, I'll take plus 110 all day on the yes.
I think because you just need one, right? It just needs beat any mills, and I mean Averly Jane. I think maybe not a lock, but she's got a really good chance of winning, and you could secure that bet early in day one, frankly.
Yeah,
so
first race.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I don't necessarily think it's going to be that difficult to cash that one.
Yeah,
I think that one at yes plus you're getting plus. Yeah, give me that. So
yeah.
All right, last one here, U.S. battle. So this is forget Canada for a second. Okay, we don't give a shit about them. U.S. battle. What American-based horses will win more Breeders' Cup races? This might be a little bit of a thinker. The East versus the West. East is minus 110. But it's split. Minus 110 East. East versus West. Which one's winning more?
Give me the East. I think the East gets the job done.
Let's go through it. Let's try to go through it. So you've got, I went through some of this earlier. You got Jackie, Life is Good, Essential Quality, Knicks Go or whatever. Yeah, exactly. I mean, Medina Spirit could be your West horse there, but that's it. I guess you would qualify Hot Rod as well. Hot Rod would be West, though, I guess.
Yeah, he's West. Yeah.
He's West. So even though he's ran a lot of East races, he's definitely West because he's Doug O'Neill. What else would you have? Latruska
and Malathot, and She Dares the Devil all would be considered East.
Way more on the East. There's way more prospects. Gamine would be a West. I'd give you a West.
Yep. Corn East versus Jack Christopher will be an interesting one.
Yeah.
But Zulu and Juju, that's kind of funny. You say that out loud. Zulu and Juju would be East, so there's really not a West Coast there. I guess Ain't Easy in that juvenile fillies would be the West Coast threat.
Yeah, I think it's close. I definitely would lean heavier on the East. Let's put it that way. Mark says they have the home track advantage being the West, but not nearly the talent. I agree. Life is Good, Jackie's Warrior. I mean, you've got if you're looking for like the grapple hole, the ones you can lean on, like they're all East. They're all based in the East, and so if you're doing a pick 'em here, if you got a little value, maybe I'd lean towards the West. If the West was an underdog, maybe whoever made the odds, maybe they fucked that up. Just saying. I don't know who did
that.
Whoever did it, though, I expect some repercussions there. No, I think if there is the pick 'em, the way it's worded, I think it's East. We did have a question somewhere in here. Something about the odds.
Oh, morning line odds?
Yeah, I don't remember where that was.
Right there.
So we don't necessarily have odds. I mean, obviously we don't know odds right now, but we do know from our good friend John White, friend of the show, John White, who is the morning line maker. As in, if you guys remember on the pod a couple weeks ago, we were talking about, we didn't know for sure if he was doing the Brews Cup. And I asked John after the pod, I was like, hey, are you doing the Brews Cup? We figured you were. He's like, as far as I know, I haven't heard any difference. So he doesn't really know, but I guess we're assuming so. What he's got right now, and again, he's making the line. So it's going to be reasonably close. And he does have Maxfield included, and this has a lot of horses that may or may not. Knicks Go 5-2, Essential Quality at 3-1, 5-1 a Hot Rod Charlie, Medina Spirit at 6-1, 10-1 an Art Collector, 10-1 a Max Player, 12-1 on Maxfield, so he's not going to run in there. So you got to think Max Player. And he's got 10-1 on Max Player, 15-1 Tripoli, 20-1 Dr. Post, 20-1 Happy Saver, Idol 30, and Stiletto Boy at 30-1 as well. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you got to assume these odds are going to change a little bit, obviously, and you never know how the public's going to bet. Those top 4 are going to be pounded. Being Knicks Go, Such a Quality, Hot Rod Charlie. I mean, Knicks Go is not going to go. Do you think Knicks Go will go off at 5-2?
I think it'd be like 9-5, 2-1.
Yeah, I think so too.
But I think if you like Knicks Go, you are going to get a bettable price, because I do think there's enough other horses in the race, like a Hot Rod, like Essential, like Medina, that you are going to be able to bet Knicks Go to win if you prefer to do that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think Max Player drifts up. I just don't think you're going to get 10-1 on Max Player. Maybe I'm wrong. I just think there's going to be too much action on these other, in our collector, I guess, but you're definitely on those 4.
Yeah.
That you're going to say a solid 12 to 15-1 on Max Player.
Yeah. I mean, I just think you got to look for value somewhere underneath, because I just don't know how you're going to beat those heavy hitters. So I like it. I like 12-1. I'll take it all day long.
I mean,
so the question is, does anyone know who's riding Art Collector? You mean Luis Saez isn't? He's not going to jump off Essential to ride Art Collector? Okay.
Let's all hope it's Brian Hernandez.
Yeah. We'll see.
Hey, congratulations, by the way, to your good friend being inducted into the Jewish Jockey Hall of Fame. David Cohen.
Well, no, I think it's just the Jewish Sports Hall of Fame. I don't think it's Jockey Hall of Fame.
There's one. He's the first member.
Talk about David Cohen. No, he's in there with I was reading about it. There's some big time sports icons in that thing. So it's kind of cool that he gets in there. So yeah. David Cohen in the Jewish sports. Is it what is it exactly?
I don't know.
Hold on, I'll look it up again. I saw it last night.
To be clear, just to confirm though, it's definitely not the Jewish Jockey Hall of Fame, right? Okay. I just wanted to make sure before I went off, bragging about David Cohen.
Here.
Yeah, it's
let's see. To be elected to the 2022 class of Jewish Sports Hall of Fame.
There you go.
Yeah.
Who all's in it? Do you have it all on hand?
I don't. I saw Ray Pollock tweeted out there's some really, really big time members in that. But I don't have it in front of me. But yeah, congratulations, David Cohen, friend of the. Well, I mean, I met him once at a bar, and he said he knew who we were and he liked us. So ever since then, I've always been a big David Cohen guy. So congratulations.
There's a lot of some weightlifters in here.
Yeah. Oh, you're looking it up?
Yeah, I'm like, oh, Bill Goldberg's in it.
Well, there you go, Bill Goldberg. That's enough.
Wow. That's all you need, right?
Yeah.
Like you're rubbing shoulders with Bill Goldberg. Come on, man! Like
look at that. Yeah, imagine Bill Goldberg and David Cohen standing side by side.
Bruce Pearl, he's in there.
Bruce Pearl.
I'm trying to go through some of these that I even somewhat know.
Some kind of baseball, a couple of baseball players I'd heard of. I can't remember now.
Obviously, Mike Epstein. Epstein is like a very generic, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, honestly, I don't know. Gosh, I feel like it's so bad. I don't know any of these, to be honest with you. So maybe it's not as
George Costanza is in there for his front office work with the Yankees. Mark Hevson.
Dude, I shit you not. There are some executives in here. Like it literally says Baseball Player Association executive Marvin Miller. So George Costanza would be a front runner in this thing for sure, no doubt about it. So congratulations to David Cohen for making it. All right, there you go. Got off hand. That's a wrap. Obviously, these are not real prop bets. There's probably some out there. I don't know any legally that you can bet. Hey, we won't judge. But these are the prop bets that we're going towards right now as we are a few weeks away from the Breeders' Cup. Stay tuned. As well as more, obviously, information. And we'll just, now that we have the fields in a week from now, we can really give a good analysis of how we're going to play these. But those are the prop bets so far for the 2021 Breeders' Cup. You ever start talking and you don't know how it's going to end? You just keep going. That's how I felt ending that thing.
I could feel it.
It's like that episode of The Office, when Michael's like, you ever just sometimes it's like something I live by, and I go into this and I live by this and I do it every time, and no matter what the case is or who's in the room or what they're doing, it's like I love that. Okay.
Oh man, that's hilarious. Hilarious.
All right. 3, 2, 1. So all the time I've checked out racenews.com for our free picks and our premium selections on our handicap products page. Get the products button, get Race News premium button at racenews.com to learn more. Again, go get your hands on that Breeders' Cup wagering guide presale happening right now. It's going to be massive. We don't have it done. We're not on pages. It's going to be like 20 plus pages. You get information, live bankroll plays from Halterman and I, how we're going to play this, the Breeders' Cup exactly. The Breeders' Cup betting challenge tournament strategy for Mike Somich. Top 4 consistencies from all the team members at racingdudes.com. Of course, every single race, every single analysis from Halterman. It's all going to be in there. Of course, look for the 14 trends to the Breeders' Cup World Championships coming out next week as well. That's a free guide. Then get your hands on that. Go through some of these trends as we start to uncover these the horses that are going to be in the Breeders' Cup. You can listen to us on you can't listen on SoundCloud. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Captivate as well. We're your destination site for all horse racing and sports picks. Of course, the NFL happening in a big way right now. Halterman, you guys did the Dudes Who Bet Sports show earlier today. I got to ask you, don't you as a fan of sports, as a fan of NFL, Derrick Henry might break the record this year. It's a record that's held up for years, obviously, with Eric Dickerson. But the dude, man, he's running and again, I got an extra game this year too. So you got to think maybe it can happen. I think he's on pace for it.
I pray he doesn't get hurt because he's so fun to watch. He is a man-child out there. It's unbelievable. I needed the Titans to go over 24.5 points, and they were getting shut out, but it was early, and he took that to the house, and I jumped straight up and was yelling and screaming. He just looks like a beast right now. The Titans offense is getting going. They're starting to find their rhythm. And sorry, Jared, but the Kansas City Chiefs, that's a tough matchup for their defense this week.
I totally agree. I think they're going to get pounded in terms of the run game. He is going to destroy that the run defense, the kind of ghost image of the run defense that we have. The thing about him that's so amazing is literally they could be on the 1 yard line, their own 1 yard line, or they could be at the 50-yard line, or they could be in every time he touches the ball, it might go to the house.
He could take it.
It's unbelievable. If you're betting against him, you're betting against Titans, or you're playing against him in fantasy or something, every single time he touches the ball, you're holding your breath because he could take it to the house every time. He's unreal.
I can't believe how fast he is. That's the thing. He's so monstrous. He looks like an old wishbone fullback, right? but then he gets the open field and he's gone. I mean, it's crazy. It's really crazy how fast this guy is. So I'm really super excited to watch him every week. Like, I'm making a point to watch the Titans, just because of him. He's just fun to watch.
Yeah, it's going to be, the Chiefs took care of business, of course, against Washington, but it's going to be a different animal.
The bet for the Chiefs, I think that game could go either way. I think it's going to be classic. I think it'll look a lot like the Bills and Titans did on Monday, high scoring game. But the Titans team total is 26.5. I went over. That's my bet of the week. I think
let's say the amount of points they score is 26.5.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a lock.
That's what I thought. I thought, why is that so low? That's 4 touchdowns over, basically. How do they not score 4 touchdowns on Sunday?
Because the Chiefs are going to score that. They're going to have to.
Yeah.
And there's no way it's a blowout. So
on the Chiefs side. Yeah, that's what I loved about the Bills game when the Titans were over 24 or the team total was 24.5, because I knew the Bills would score, therefore forcing the Titans to be aggressive the whole game. Mm-hmm. It seems like that same thing's going to happen again. And the Chiefs defense is weaker than the Bills defense. And, they only have to get 2 more points than they did last week. Come on.
I guess the theory is, or at least why it's so low, is, it's like, well, they're just going to run the ball constantly, keep Chiefs off the field, take a lot of clock, but you're also assuming they're not going to have gouged plays, or they run for 50 yards they're going to score at will. And frankly, by the way, if you need it anymore, even if they decide to throw the ball, Tannehill obviously is not a superb quarterback, but you can run it, you can throw against the Chiefs. Sorensen can't stop Tannehill. I know that much.
I want to know this. Will Jackson Mahomes be dancing in Tennessee this week?
Listen, let me say something about him. I've texted a few of my buddies, a few of my good friends that were all Chiefs fans, and I'm like, I said, he has to go away. Him and Brittany, his fiance, wife, whatever, needs to stop. Jackson Mahomes might be the most annoying person in the whole world. He is that bad. And I don't know how much it hurts. It's certainly not helping Mahomes. I know that much. To have to deal with that shit. Every time you go to a game, you're like, what'd you do now? You did a TikTok on top of Sean Taylor's memorial? Yeah. Oh.
Have you ever seen a guy as likable as Pat Mahomes surrounded by people that are so unlikable?
I know.
It's bizarre.
And you would think too, his dad, obviously a very good dad, he obviously did a very good job of raising Patrick, and it's hello, come on, there has to be that conversation at some point, right? It keeps happening, and I don't know, at first it was oh, he's just annoying, but whatever, just on the side, but dude, it's just every time,
every game.
So the answer is probably yes. If he's there, he'll be dancing. So
yeah,
it's crazy. Everyone hates him too, in the non-sports world, from what I know and seeing, social world hates Jackson Mahomes. Cannot stand him. And like you say, you could not have 2 more contrasting guys. You know what I mean? Because think of Mahomes, it's just been a perfect character, perfect dude, this all around, one of the biggest sports stars in the world, really. And you've got that very publicly have that. All right. But yeah, huge weekend. Halterman, how are you feeling about, real quickly, I have to ask, I know you love OU, but what's the vibe now? Have you shifted from, because you're the hardest critic, you're I with the Chiefs, you're the hardest critic on your own team. Are they national championship type worthy now, with the new quarterback?
I would be disappointed if they don't make the playoffs. I'll put it that way. And I gave them no chance with Rattler. Not making the playoffs would be a bitter disappointment from what I've seen now.
I agree. I don't really care, but I think from what I've seen, there's no way you don't make it to playoffs, especially considering the update or the upsets and things. It's just all like they seem to at least continue to win games, and the teams they're playing, they should be able to do it, right?
If he can keep playing like he's playing, they can go as far as they could go all the way. They really could. But he's played 7 quarters and he's still a true freshman. So that's the question mark, right? But through 7 quarters, he's played about as good as anybody I've ever seen down there. But again, it's 7 quarters and it's against 2 defenses that aren't that good. And they have bigger challenges coming. So I'm not getting overhyped on the kid, but he's done very well so far. And he's a definitely an improvement from what we've had. And I think with him, our goal of making the playoffs, it's back where it wasn't really there with Rattler.
What school does Rattler transfer to next year?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, he's got to go somewhere. A lot of people think he'll still get drafted. I don't, like next year, like that need to transfer. And I thought, well, I don't know, but I think that'd be crazy. I don't know. A lot of people think Ole Miss is where he'll go. So we'll see.
That seems insane that he would get drafted. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I guess the Browns could use a quarterback, but I mean, other than that, I don't.
Yeah.
That goes well. Make sure you go check out the Magic Mike show as well. Of course, they did an interesting one this week. They did a cross country pick 5 for Saturday. Of course, it's including action at Keeneland and Belmont Park. So if you want some more like this weekend racing happening, of course, go to the website racingnews.com or check out the Magic Mike show as well for some more analysis. Again, thanks everybody. John Doe. Hey, I'm going to guess your name's not John Doe, but thank you for saying we're the best in the game. Appreciate it. So stay tuned, guys, because we have a ton of content headed your way, video content on the website, pods, articles, guides, the Breeders' Cup. We live and breathe this shit. So stay tuned for that. We'll have a ton of content coming your way. I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Alterman. Good luck this weekend. See you guys. Thank you.